Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. This time I've set a challenge, the 10 to 1 challenge. There's two different challenges which you can choose from. They're both quite difficult, but the first one's a little bit more difficult than the second. The first one is, which is the one I'll have a go at, is to show 10 artists from your collection where one of the artists has only ever released one studio album, another artist has only ever released 2 studio albums, the third artist has only ever released 3 studio albums, and so forth up to 10. No compilations or anything like live albums or anything like that included. Now the other one you could choose from if you want to have a go is to show 10 artists from your collection where you only have one studio album of them. No matter how many they've released, you've only got one. 2 studio albums, 3 studio albums, and so forth up to 10. And so you can see whichever challenge you choose, how many of those 1 to 10 spots you can actually fill. There's no pass mark, by the way, it's just how many you can get. So I'm doing it from actually 10 to 1. The problem with this challenge is if you can get all 10 artists, there's 55 albums that will be shown, which takes forever. So you can use any format at all. So starting at number 10, and I have the Beautiful South, and they released 10 albums, and I'll whiz through these, and they are Welcome to the Beautiful South, Choke, 0898, yeah, Blue is the Colour, Quench, Painting It Red, Gaze, I can never remember the name of this one, Gold Diggers, Head Knockers and Folk Songs, which I think I've shown in a previous video, and the 10th one is Superbe. So that's number 10. Number 9 is Tanita Tikaram, and I'm going to stick with the CDs, and she's had 9 albums. They are Ancient Heart, The Sweet Keeper, Everybody's Angel, 11 Kinds of Loneliness, Lovers in the City, The Cappuccino Songs, Sentimental, my favourite, Can't Go Back, and Closer to the People. So those are only CDs. I'm going to show the rest are vinyl albums. And for number 8, I am picking Talking Heads that have had 8 studio albums, and they are Talking Heads 77, More Songs About Buildings and Food, Fear of Music, Remain in Light, Speaking in Tongues, can never remember the name of that album, always keep wanting to say Stop Making Sense, Little Creatures, True Stories, and Naked. So that's 10, 9 and 8 covered. 7, I'm going to pick Mott the Hoople, who've had 7 studio albums, and they are Mott the Hoople, Mad Shadows, Wildlife, Brain Capers, All the Young Dudes, Mott, and the Hoople. And for 6, I'm going to pick Dire Straits, and they've had 6 studio albums, and they are Dire Straits, Communique, very underrated album, Making Movies, Love Over Gold, Brothers in Arms, and On Every Street. Now, if you're ever going to buy On Every Street in vinyl, buy the new reissue, the double one. This is an original and it's as thin as cigarette paper, and it's not great quality, so it's a tip, get the reissue. Okay, for number 5, and I'm going to show female singer who I swore 2 albums were enough, but I went and I bought all her 5, and I've been playing her a lot this year, and that's Shania Twain, and she's had Shania Twain, The Woman in Me. I like her country stuff. The Magnificent, Come On Over, the brilliant Up, and the very underrated Now. So for number 4, I'm going to pick the Style Council, and they've had 4 albums, and they are Café Bleu, Our Favourite Shop, one of the worst albums by anybody in the 80s, The Cost of Loving. It is awful, and don't listen to what Rob Walker says is terrible. And Confessions of a Pop Group. Now, they did have a 5th one which wasn't released at the time. It was rejected. It has since been released on a box set, so it doesn't count. And for 3, we're getting through this rightly because there's only 6 more albums to show. We have The Tourists, and they only ever released 3 albums, and the first one is The Tourists, whichever cover you prefer. I always think this is cool, 2 alternate covers. Reality Effect, and Luminous Basement, and of course The Tourists was the band that Annie Lennox was in before the Eurythmics, as was Dave Stewart. And for 2, we have a Swedish group called Gemini, and they had 2 albums. The first one is just called Gemini, and the second one is Geminism. Now, the thing about this group is, if you want to hear what ABBA would have sounded like, check out Gemini, because Bjorn and Benny wrote the songs for these guys. They're a brother-sister duo, Karen and Anders Glenmark, and he wrote about 2/3 of their output. So it's basically the songs that they would have written for ABBA if ABBA had carried on. Now, they do a cover of Just Like That, which ABBA had originally done. Now, I prefer ABBA's version, but it's still yet to be released. But it's all slowed down for the Gemini version. And when asked, I think it was Benny, it might have been Bjorn, that says that they have no intentions of releasing the ABBA version because the ultimate version is the Gemini version. I tend to disagree, but there you go. And 1. And I'm just going to give it to Hazy Fantasy, who've only ever released 1 album. It's great fun. It's called Battle Hymns for Singing Children. It's got John Wayne, his big leggy on it, and Shiny Shiny, and it's the best crack out. So I was able to do it 10-1. As I say, there's 2 challenges. If you would like to have a go at either one, can you do it, and how many of those spots from 1 to 10 can you fill? Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Things you do whenever you're not at work. Can't help it. Just thinking of different ideas, no matter how daft they are. But anyway, that's me for now, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.